The massive screen in Earth's Defense Command showed the sneering face of High Commander Marcus. His gray skin seemed to shimmer under the bright lights of the Galactic Council chamber. Behind him, dozens of alien representatives from different worlds watched with amused expressions as he spoke to the humans. "Your pathetic orbital platforms are nothing more than toys," Marcus said, his translator making his words clear but not hiding the mockery in his tone. "We counted them. 56 platforms with basic energy shields and simple laser weapons. Is this how Earth defends itself?" Admiral James Walker stood straight, his weathered face showing no emotion. The medals on his blue uniform caught the light as he shifted his weight. Around him, the other members of Earth's Defense Force kept their faces just as blank. They had practiced this moment many times. "We built what we could with our technology, High Commander," Walker said. His voice was steady and careful, like someone talking to an angry animal. "Earth is still new to space travel. We hope the Council will give us time to develop." The laughter that filled the Council chamber was loud and cruel. Some of the alien representatives pointed at the technical readouts of Earth's defenses that floated in holograms around them. Others whispered to each other, shaking their heads or making gestures that humans had learned meant disrespect. Marcus leaned forward, his large eyes blinking slowly. "Time. You want time. Let me be clear, Admiral Walker. The Galactic Council has ruled this sector for 10,000 years. We have brought civilization to 100 worlds. Some joined us willingly. Others needed convincing." He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Earth sits on important trade routes. We've been patient, waiting for your species to advance. But we're tired of waiting." Walker could feel his hands wanting to form fists. He kept them relaxed at his sides. Next to him, General Mary Collins shifted slightly, and he knew she was fighting the same urge. They had to maintain the act. Everything depended on it. "What exactly are you saying, High Commander?" Walker asked, even though he knew the answer. The Council had become predictable in its arrogance. Marcus's smile grew wider. "Simple terms for simple people. Earth has two choices. 1. Submit to Council rule now. We'll take control of your governments, but we'll be gentle about it. You can keep some of your autonomy, some of your dignity." He paused, clearly enjoying the moment. 2. Refuse, and we'll demonstrate what real military power looks like. Those toys you call defense platforms won't last 5 minutes against a single Council warship, and we have thousands. Walker allowed himself to look worried. It wasn't hard. The Council's fleet really was powerful. But power wasn't everything. "How long do we have to decide?" 7 planetary rotations, Marcus said. 7 of your Earth days. That's generous, considering how primitive your defenses are. More laughter from the chamber. "Use the time wisely, Admiral. Look at your weak satellites. Look at your single moon base with its outdated sensors. Look at your handful of ships that can barely reach Mars. Then make the smart choice." The screen went dark. Walker waited 30 seconds, making sure the connection was fully cut. Then he looked at General Collins. "Did they scan past lunar orbit?" She shook her head, checking her tablet. "No, sir. Their arrogance is working for us. They didn't even do a deep scan of the solar system. Just looked at our visible defenses and stopped there." Walker nodded. He turned to Communications Officer Lisa Reed. "Send the coded burst to Jupiter. 1 word. Starting." "Yes, sir," Reed said, her fingers moving quickly over her console. "Transmission sent through the quantum channel. They won't detect it." Walker looked around the command center at his team. They all knew what was coming. Humanity had prepared for this moment for 50 years, ever since they'd found that crashed scout ship in the Antarctic. The Council thought Earth was primitive because they only saw what Earth wanted them to see. 7 days, Walker said quietly. "They're giving us 7 days to get everything ready. That's more than we hoped for." He smiled for the first time that day. "Let's make them count. And let's see how hard they laugh when they meet the visible." The room filled with quiet, determined activity. The greatest deception in human history was entering its final phase. Soon, the Council would learn that judging a species by its visible technology was a dangerous mistake. Deep within Jupiter's swirling storms, Chief Engineer Anna Thompson stood at the observation deck of Ford Station, watching the massive shape of humanity's greatest achievement take form. Lightning from Jupiter's endless storms illuminated the EDS visible like camera flashes, revealing glimpses of its dark hull. "Status report," she said into her comm unit, her eyes fixed on the final assembly. The ship was huge, 3 miles long and built with technology that would make the Galactic Council choke on their laughter. "Hull integrity at 100%, her assistant Tom replied. "The phase shift drive is running at full power. We're loading the last of the kinetic strike weapons now." Anna walked closer to the reinforced window. The Visible's hull was made of materials reverse-engineered from the Antarctic crash site. It absorbed radar and light, making the massive ship nearly invisible to normal sensors. But its true power lay in what was inside. "How many times have we test-fired the main gun?" she asked, even though she knew the answer. These days, she asked questions to calm her nerves. 57 successful tests, Tom said. "The last one punched through 3 inches of Council-grade armor like it was paper. They won't expect kinetic weapons. They think everyone uses energy weapons like they do." A massive crane moved past the window, carrying what looked like a giant metal arrow. The kinetic strike weapons were simple in theory, just very heavy objects moving very fast. But the Visible could accelerate them to speeds that turned them into weapons that could crack planets. "Engineer Thompson," a voice called from behind her. She turned to see Captain David Richards, the Visible's designated commander under Admiral Walker, walking quickly toward her. "We just got the signal from Earth. The Council gave us 7 days." Anna felt her heart speed up. 7 days. We were expecting them to attack right away. This is perfect. She turned back to the window. "Tom, tell all teams to start final preparations. We're on the clock." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Visible wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's proof that there was more than one path to advanced technology. While the Council had focused on energy weapons and shields designed to stop them, Earth had gone a different way. Inside one of the ship's main chambers, Anna inspected the phase shift drive. It was beautiful in a strange way, a mass of crystals and metal that seemed to bend space around it. They had built it based on theories that the Council had dismissed centuries ago. "The Council thinks they know everything about space travel," she said to Captain Richards as they walked through the ship's corridors. "They stopped exploring new ideas long ago. That's why they'll never see us coming." "How fast can we get to Earth if we need to?" Richards asked. Anna smiled. "The phase shift drive doesn't work like their faster-than-light engines. We don't move through space. We step out of it and back in where we want to be. We could reach Earth in 3 seconds." They reached the bridge, where final systems checks were underway. The crew moved with quiet efficiency, each person knowing their role in the coming battle. Through the main viewport, Jupiter's clouds cast an orange glow over everything. 50 years of work," Richard said quietly. 50 years of letting them think we were primitive while we built this. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd never found that crashed ship." "We would have found our own way here eventually," Anna replied. "The Council doesn't understand humans. We don't just copy technology. We improve it. Everything on this ship is better than what we found in that wreck." An alert sounded softly through the ship. Anna checked her tablet and smiled. "Final loading complete. All systems are green. The EDS Visible is ready for action." She looked around the bridge, at the mixture of human innovation and alien technology that they had created. The Council thought Earth was defenseless, protected only by a handful of primitive satellites. They had no idea that humans had built something that would change the galaxy. 7 days, she said. More than enough time to give them a surprise they'll never forget. Above them, Jupiter's storms raged on. hiding humanity's greatest secret for just a little while longer. The Council didn't wait 7 days. They attacked after just 3. Director Robert Mason watched from Earth's Defense Command as the Council ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their ships looked like silver needles against the black of space, beautiful and deadly. He counted 30 of them on the main screen. "They're trying to scare us," he said to his team. "Sending more ships than they need to destroy our defenses. Classic bullying tactics." He touched his earpiece. "All stations, execute Operation Paper Tiger. Make it look good." The Council ships moved closer, their energy weapons charging. Earth's defense platforms turned to face them, their weak laser weapons powering up. It was like watching children's toys face down real weapons. "First wave approaching," reported Jane, his sensor operator. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies. They want everyone to watch this." The Council's message played through the command center. "This is your last chance to surrender. Your deadline has not expired, but our patience has. Witness the price of defiance." Mason allowed himself a small smile. The Council was following his prediction perfectly. "Send the response we prepared. Make it sound scared." A young communications officer sent their message. "Please wait. We still have 4 days to decide. Your terms were 7 days." The Council ships opened fire. Their energy beams lit up space like new stars being born. Earth's defensive platforms fired back with their simple lasers, which splashed harmlessly against Council shields. "Defense Platform 3 destroyed," Jane reported calmly. 4 and 7 gone too. 8 is breaking apart." She paused. "Sir, they're being very theatrical about this." She was right. The Council ships were taking their time, destroying the platforms one by one. They were putting on a show, broadcasting their victory to Earth and the galaxy. Their energy weapons created beautiful patterns in space as they demolished Earth's defenses. In his private office above the command center, Mason sent a secured message to Jupiter. "Council taking the bait. Estimate 2 hours until all visible defenses are destroyed. Maintain radio silence, but stay alert." He returned to the main floor just as another group of platforms exploded. The Council ships moved with perfect formation, their silver hulls reflecting sunlight as they demonstrated their power. On the communications channels, their commanders made speeches about the futility of resistance. "Now broadcasting images of people panicking in major cities," reported Tom, his media coordinator. "All fake, of course. The underground bunkers are keeping everyone safe, but the Council's eating up these shots of humans running scared." Mason nodded. His team had spent years preparing these fake scenes. "Keep it up. Make sure the Council sees lots of afraid humans. Confused leaders. Chaos." He checked his watch. "And get ready for Phase 2. The next hour was a carefully managed show of Earth's weakness. The defense platforms fell one by one, each destruction more spectacular than the last. Earth's communications channels filled with fake distress calls and pleas for mercy. The Council ships moved closer to Earth, their commanders getting bolder with each easy victory. "Final platform destroyed," Jane announced. "Council ships are holding position just beyond lunar orbit. They're scanning the moon base now." Mason took a deep breath. Time for the final touch. "Send in the diplomatic channel." The main screen showed the face of High Commander Marcus again. He looked extremely pleased with himself. "Have you learned your lesson, primitives? This is only 30 ships from our fleet. Imagine what 1,000 would do." Mason stepped forward, letting his face show carefully practiced fear. We understand now. Please, no more destruction. Earth will submit to Council rule." Marcus smiled his sharp-toothed smile. "Wise choice. We'll begin landing our troops in 6 hours. Prepare your leaders to sign the surrender documents." The screen went dark. In the sudden quiet of the command center, Mason's team looked at him. They all knew what was coming next. He touched his earpiece again, using the quantum channel that the Council couldn't detect. Admiral Walker, they bought it. All Earth defenses destroyed, exactly as planned. Council ships are staying close to Earth, thinking they've won. They have no idea they're now perfectly positioned for the Visible's first attack run. He looked at the main screen, where the Council ships floated arrogantly in formation, their silver hulls gleaming. Let's see how they like the next surprise. In the storms of Jupiter, Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of the EDS Visible. The massive ship hummed with power as the crew made final preparations. The moment they had trained for was finally here. Phase shift drive at full power, Anna Thompson reported from her station. We can jump to Earth whenever you give the order. Walker looked at the tactical display. The Council ships were grouped close to Earth, preparing to land their invasion forces. They had no idea they were about to see something impossible. Send the signal to all crew, Walker ordered. Battle stations. Red lights flashed through the 3-mile-long ship. Crew members rushed to their posts. In the weapons bay, massive kinetic launchers loaded their first rounds. Each one was a simple metal rod, but at the speeds the Visible could fire them, they would tear through Council shields like they weren't even there. All stations report ready, Captain Richards announced. The Council still hasn't detected us. Walker nodded. Begin Operation Thunderclap. Miss Thompson, take us in. Anna's hands moved over her controls. The phase shift drive activated, its strange crystals glowing brighter. Around the ship, Jupiter's storms seemed to fade away as the Visible stepped sideways out of normal space. For 3 seconds, they existed everywhere and nowhere. Then they reappeared right above Earth's North Pole. On the Council ships, alarms screamed to life. Their sensors suddenly showed a human vessel larger than anything they had ever seen, appearing out of nowhere. The Visible's dark hull absorbed their scanning beams, making it look like a piece of space had come alive. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Communications Officer Reed announced, "They're receiving our transmission." Walker straightened his uniform and faced the camera. Every Council ship was about to see his face on their screens. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Earth Defense Force, commanding the EDS Visible. I believe you were laughing at our defenses earlier." High Commander Marcus's face appeared on the main screen. His gray skin had turned almost white. "Impossible. You can't have built this. Your species is primitive." "Primitive?" Walker allowed himself to smile. "We let you think that. Those defense platforms you destroyed. Props. Set pieces in a play we've been performing for 50 years. Would you like to see what real human technology looks like?" He nodded to Anna. She pressed a single button. The Visible's first kinetic round launched. It moved so fast it looked like a line of light. It struck the nearest Council ship before their shields could even react. The silver vessel split in half like it was made of paper. The Council ships scrambled to fighting positions, their energy weapons powering up. But they were too close together, too confident in their superior position. The Visible's dark hull absorbed their energy beams, while its kinetic weapons punched through their shields. "Impossible," Marcus shouted again. "Our shields. Nothing can penetrate our shields." "Your shields stop energy weapons," Walker explained calmly as another Council ship exploded. "They're very good at that. But we don't use energy weapons. Sometimes the old ways are best. Just throw something really hard, really fast." The Council fleet tried to scatter, but the Visible was too quick. Its phase shift drive let it jump instantly to new positions, appearing wherever the Council ships tried to run. Each kinetic round found its target. "Their commanders are requesting mercy," Reed reported, trying not to smile. Walker looked at the tactical display. 10 Council ships were already destroyed. The others were damaged or trying to flee. High Commander Marcus's flagship was turning away from Earth, preparing to run. 50 years, Walker said to Marcus's terrified face on the screen. 50 years we let you mock us. Call us primitive. Look down on us. While we built something you never imagined. Still think humans need more time to develop." Marcus had no answer. His ship vanished into faster-than-light speed, running away with the few council vessels that could still fly. The bridge crew of the Visible cheered. Humanity's greatest secret was finally revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. "Send word to Earth," Walker ordered. Operation Thunderclap successful. The Council's invasion fleet is destroyed or running. He smiled at his crew. Let's see if they laugh at Earth's defenses again. The Council's main battle fleet arrived faster than anyone expected. 200 ships jumped into Earth's solar system, their silver hulls blocking out the stars. This time, they weren't coming to bully what they thought was a weak planet. They were coming for revenge. "They're angry," Captain Richards said as he studied the tactical display on the Visible's bridge. "Angry people make mistakes." Admiral Walker watched the Council fleet spread out in a wide attack formation. They had learned from their first defeat, no more clustering together, where a single kinetic round could threaten multiple ships. "All hands to battle stations," Walker ordered. "Engineer Thompson, is the phase shift drive ready?" "Charged and ready," Anna replied from her station. "They've spread out too much. They can't catch us all at once now." The Council fleet's commander appeared on the main screen. It wasn't Marcus this time, but an older alien with dark gray skin and scars across his face. "I am Fleet Commander Jack. You have earned a warrior's death by destroying our first fleet. Prepare to be annihilated." Walker raised an eyebrow at the alien using a human name. The Council really didn't understand Earth at all. "This is Admiral Walker. We gave you a chance to leave us alone. Remember that." The battle began with a massive energy barrage from the Council fleet. 200 ships fired at once, turning space into a web of deadly light. But the Visible simply wasn't there when the beams arrived. The phase shift drive moved it instantly to a new position. "Target their command ships first," Walker ordered. "Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The Visible's kinetic launchers fired. Simple metal rods accelerated to impossible speeds, tore through Council shields and hulls. 3 command ships exploded before they could even turn to face the new threat. "They're trying to surround us," Richards reported. "Standard Council tactics. Trap the enemy and overwhelm them." Walker smiled. "Just what we expected. Ms. Thompson, initiate battle plan Echo." The Visible vanished again, reappearing inside the Council formation. Its dark hull absorbed their scanning beams while its own sensors, based on completely different technology, saw everything clearly. More kinetic rounds launched, each one finding its target. Council ships trying to coordinate their fire, Reeve announced from communications. "They're having trouble targeting us. Our hull coding is confusing their computers." The Council fleet's formation broke apart as ships exploded or tried to dodge. They had trained to fight enemies who used energy weapons like they did. Nothing in their battle plans covered an enemy who could appear anywhere and ignored their strongest shields. 30 Council ships destroyed, Richards reported. "They're splitting into smaller groups, trying to run." But running wasn't as easy as they thought. The Visible's phase shift drive let it catch any ship before it could escape into faster-than-light speed. One by one, the Council vessels learned that their superior technology wasn't so superior after all. "Fleet Commander Jack is hailing us," Reed said. The scared alien appeared on screen again, his confidence replaced by confusion and fear. How did you build this monster of a ship? Your species was primitive just decades ago." "We were never primitive," Walker replied as another group of Council ships exploded. "We just think differently than you. You stopped looking for new ideas long ago. Humans never stop looking." The battle lasted another hour, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Council fleet, for all its numbers and advanced energy weapons, couldn't fight what it couldn't hit. The Visible moved like a ghost through space, its kinetic weapons proving that sometimes the simplest solution was the best. When it was over, the space around Earth was filled with floating debris from Council ships. The few survivors fled back to Council space, carrying tales of a human vessel that bent the laws of physics and ignored their strongest defenses. Final count, Richards announced. 178 Council ships destroyed. 22 escaped. The Visible took no serious damage. He paused. Sir, we just defeated the largest Council fleet deployed in the last 1,000 years. Walker looked at his crew, proud of how far humanity had come. Send word to Earth. The Council's main fleet is destroyed. And send another message, tight beam to their capital world. Tell them we're ready to discuss new terms for our relationship with the Council. As equals this time. On the tactical display, the debris of Council ships drifted like a warning. Humanity wasn't just ready for the galaxy. They had already changed it forever. High Commander Marcus paced in his command center on the Council's capital world. The reports from Earth filled his screens. Hundreds of Council ships destroyed. The mighty fleet running away. And all because of one human vessel. His career, his reputation, everything was falling apart. Send the emergency signal, he ordered. Call every ship we have. I want 1,000 vessels at Earth. We'll overwhelm this Visible with sheer numbers. His communications officer worked the controls, but nothing happened. The faster-than-light communication network wasn't responding. On his screens, the network status changed from green to red. Sir, the officer said, fear in his voice. We're being jammed. But that's impossible. Nothing can block the entire network. A new message appeared on Marcus's main screen. The face of engineer Anna Thompson looked back at him, a small smile on her face. Actually, it's quite possible. You just never thought to try it. Marcus slammed his fist on his desk. What have you done? We studied the crashed Council ship we found 50 years ago, Anna explained. Your faster-than-light communications use the same basic principles as your weapons, energy-based technology. Once we understood that, it was simple to disrupt them. Right now, every Council world is cut off from the others. In orbit above the Council capital, hidden behind their moon, a small human ship housed the jamming device. It was a simple thing, based on the phase shift technology that powered the Visible. While the Council thought all advanced technology had to be big and powerful, humans had learned that smaller could be better. You can't do this, Marcus shouted. The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, and maybe that's the problem. A new voice said. Admiral Walker appeared on the screen next to Anna. You stopped growing. Stop thinking of new ways to do things. Humanity never stops learning, never stops trying new ideas. Marcus watched helplessly as his empire fell apart. Without faster-than-light communications, each Council world was alone. The great fleet he wanted to summon couldn't be called. The Council's power had always depended on fast communication and coordination across the stars. What do you want? He asked finally, his voice heavy with defeat. Simple terms for simple people, Walker said, throwing Marcus's own words back at him. 1. The Council acknowledges Earth as an equal power. 2. All Council ships withdraw from Earth's solar system. 3. The Council shares its technological database with us, though I suspect we'll find we've already surpassed most of it. On another screen, Marcus watched the Visible appear near one of his orbital defense stations. The massive human ship made the Council station look like a toy. Its dark hull seemed to swallow the light from the nearby sun. And if we refuse? Marcus asked, already knowing the answer. Then we demonstrate what real military power looks like, Walker said calmly. Your orbital defenses won't last 5 minutes against the Visible, and we have more ships under construction. Marcus felt the last of his pride crumble. The Council had ruled through fear and shows of force for thousands of years. Now they were facing a species that had turned their own tactics against them, and done it better. You tricked us, he said quietly. Made us think you were weak. No, Anna corrected him. We let you trick yourselves. You saw what you expected to see. Primitive humans with primitive technology. You never thought to look deeper, to consider that there might be other paths to advancement. Walker's expression was firm, but not cruel. "You have 1 hour to decide, High Commander. Accept our terms, or find out what it's like to be on the other side of technological superiority." The screens went dark, leaving Marcus alone with his thoughts. Around his world, the orbital defense stations watched helplessly as their communication networks remained dead. The mighty council, which had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior technology, was learning what real fear felt like. In Earth orbit, the Visible waited silently. Its dark hull was a promise of what would happen if the council chose pride over wisdom. The hour was counting down, and with it, the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. 6 months after the council's defeat, the Great Hall of Earth's Defense Command hosted a very different meeting than anyone had imagined possible a year ago. Representatives from 50 alien worlds sat around a massive table, with humans taking up one full side. The EDS Visible floated in orbit above them, a constant reminder of how much had changed. Admiral Walker stood at the head of the table, looking at faces that had once sneered at humanity, but now showed respect and even fear. "The treaty is simple," he said. "Earth doesn't want to rule anyone. We just want to make sure nobody tries to rule us." High Commander Marcus, now serving as the Council's peace representative, nodded slowly. His once proud bearing was gone, replaced by a quieter, more thoughtful manner. "The Council accepts these terms. We've learned our lesson about underestimating other species." Around the table, other alien representatives nodded. They had all seen the footage of the Visible destroying the Council's greatest fleet. They had all heard how a single human ship had changed the balance of power that had stood for 10,000 years. "Technology sharing begins immediately," Engineer Thompson announced from her seat. She touched a control, and screens around the room lit up with technical data. "Though I should warn you, you might be surprised by what we've figured out on our own." The alien scientists in the room stared at the screens with wide eyes. Humanity's different approach to technology, mixing simple physical principles with advanced innovations, had created things the Council had never imagined. The phase shift drive alone had rewritten what they thought was possible. "There's something else," Director Mason said, standing up. "We've detected 3 other young species in unexplored sectors, species that the Council would have eventually found and convinced to submit." He smiled. "Earth will be watching how you treat them." The aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The Council's old way of doing things, forcing younger species to submit or face destruction, was over. Earth had proved that giving species time to develop their own paths could lead to surprising results. "The human way is interesting," one alien scientist admitted, studying the designs for the kinetic weapons. "We always thought energy weapons were the peak of technology. But you showed us that simple physical force, properly applied, could be more effective." Walker looked out the window at the changed world. Earth's orbital spaces were busy now, filled with ships from dozens of worlds coming to trade and learn. The secret shipyards in Jupiter's clouds were building more vessels like the Visible, but they weren't hidden anymore. Earth had nothing left to hide. "6 months ago, you laughed at our defenses," he reminded the aliens. "You thought we were primitive because we did things differently than you, because we hadn't followed your path of development." He turned back to the room. That laughter stopped pretty quickly. The meeting continued with discussions of trade routes, technological exchanges, and diplomatic protocols. But everyone knew the real change had already happened. The galaxy had learned that there was more than one way to advance, more than one path to the stars. Later that evening, Walker stood with Thompson and Mason on the observation deck, watching the sun set over a changed Earth. "They're still afraid of us," Mason said. "They think we'll do to them what they would have done to us." Thompson shook her head. "They'll learn, just like they're learning that our way of thinking about technology opens up new possibilities. Change takes time." Above them, the Visible caught the last rays of the setting sun on its dark hull. The ship that had changed everything was no longer a secret weapon, but a symbol of human ingenuity and determination. "Funny thing is," Walker said quietly, "we never wanted to fight them. All we wanted was to be left alone to develop in our own way. They forced our hand. And now? Mason asked. Walker smiled as the stars began to appear. Now we make sure no species has to hide their development ever again. We show the galaxy that there are always new ways to solve old problems. He looked at his friends. And we keep exploring, keep innovating. Because that's what humans do. The night fell over Earth, but the planet was far from dark. Lights from 1,000 alien ships twinkled in orbit, each one a reminder that humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not by following the Council's path, but by finding their own way forward.